Hi. Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks so much for joining us here. So we are here with at Showing Up, this discussion of friends, neighbors, activists, talking about social justice and how we could all show up for a community. And we'll have information, conversation, art, and action. Come show up with us.
All of it. All of it.
So I am joined here by the lovely Bethany Van Delft. Hello, how are you doing today?
Hi, darling, and the inimitable Kendra Dawsey. Very nice.
Everyone. Hi.
Just for transparency, this is our first time co-hosting. Yay! I'm so excited.
But this is gonna be really fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna be stepping all over Kendra's words. So just forgive me and know that it's me, not Kendra. Okay. All right.
As an ADD haver, I also often interject in conversations. There's no need to apologize. We are both very excited for the show and all the stuff happening in the show. And I'm also just really excited to work with you on this awesome, feel good thing that we're doing together.
So. Yay. And that's what it is. It is to feel good. Here's one thing I think. Tell me if you agree, but especially in the pandemic and then all the things that happened in the pandemic where everyone got to see it and become aware, maybe if they weren't before, about social justice issues. I feel like people got super overwhelmed with, especially, going to protests. Maybe it was people's first time going to protests, but they went. It was unbelievable. Everyone was connected. Everyone was on the same page. And then after the protest, what do you do then, right? If you're new to social justice work, it's a tough place to be. But the truth is, showing up can take so many different levels and ways, right? Like you can go to protests, but you can show up with your dollars or with your daily choices. So that's what the show is broadly about, is all the kinds of ways that you can show up. And, to offer information about social justice issues that maybe not everybody's aware of, or maybe you are aware and you want to hear people talk about it. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, what you're saying is 100% right. I feel like with the protest over the last summer, there was a lot of talk about how to be involved in activism. And there's a lot of parts to activism, obviously. Like there's the people who do go to the protests. There are people who are, kind of backstage, making sure, if people get arrested, they have access, or they'll be able to get out of jail. There's the people who feed people at the protests. There's the people who will house and, all that stuff. And there's lots and lots and lots of ways to show up. If you're not able to make it to one protest, don't feel like you're suddenly a bad activist, right? So yeah, we're going to be discussing ways that you could connect, show you a few community organizations you may be interested in learning more about their work, and talk about all sorts of ways showing up, because showing up is the first step. And
the first step is you came here, right?
Exactly.
You showed up here. That's the first step. So, and we'll try to make sure there's always levels of actions that you can take. So if if you're a couch activist and me too. I did all my protests and my physical marches and all that when I was little. I'm not doing it anymore. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. I will after the pandemic, not now. But all kinds of different ways. I came up in activism because my parents are old school activists. My dad marched with Ralph Abernathy. My mom was down with, I don't know. I'm so afraid to say things now that live on the internet forever, especially what we just came out. But
that's fair.
Suffice it to say, my mom was grassroots in the community.
Yeah.
To the point that we had pets that were named Carl Barks, Meow Song, and Proletariat. So
amazing.
Proletariat, because the product of her labor was sold for a profit by the owner of the means of production. So
yes.
There you go.
I love all of those pet names, and I get what you mean by being afraid of putting info out there. If you want to talk to us a little bit more about Bethany's mom and parents, hit us up on Signal so that no one can see it. Or it will just be us. Yeah. So I kind of got involved in activism. I just read a lot of stuff on the internet, and then I kept dating organizers in college for a little bit by acts. Like I didn't mean to it, but I was always interested in like trying to be involved more in activism, trying to like, talk about all these big issues, and also trying to break it down a little bit. So I did try a little bit of organizing. It gave me some anxiety. So I was like, what are other ways I could help people, so that I don't feel like, oh, if I don't connect with this one person, the entire project is going to fail. So I try to show up.
It's hard.
It's so hard.
And I watched my mom do it, and my mom would like spend all night cooking for striking bus drivers, and we'd starve because organizing is that hard. You can't cook for your own kids sometimes.
Yeah.
We're fine. Look, we got our weight back. We went on strike, and then she fed us. It was awesome.
See, you learned from your mom. That's great. But yeah, so now I'm like I'm trying to think of like lots of other ways to show up. As someone who has a little bit of social anxiety, isn't that great at connecting with people. I'm also like, I feel like I'm not the greatest at convincing people, which is a huge part of organizing. I'm like, you should do this, and if you disagree, then I'll just do it with someone else, and that's not how you organize. So I'm gonna do the comedy, do some fundraisers for things that are really important, and I could donate some money. But
I love the taking your love away if people aren't like socially justice oriented. You're like, come on this march or I'm not playing with you. Like that works. That totally works.
Like, I know you want to keep talking to me.
Show up.
Yeah, like, listen, I will go on a third date with you if you show up to this event.
Boycott Barilla Pasta, and we get a third date, okay?
Sometimes, that's another way of showing up. Just getting some hotties at the march so that everyone pays attention. So this particular show is about a big topic that has been talked about a lot for many, many, many decades. It's about care work. So Bethany, when you hear care work, what do you think of?
The first thing I think of is Care Bears, which is probably not where my brain should be going. But if you do think about it, Care Bears did take care of each other.
They did.
And take care of their community. So maybe it's not the worst jump off. I don't know.
No, I think that makes sense that you think about, no, honestly, you think about Care Bears. They care a lot about each other, and they're all about like love and good vibes, right? Yeah.
I'm here to derail you, Kendra, at every step. That's my job. That's it.
No, you are not derailing me. Also, as a child of the 90s, I do remember Care Bears, and I think I probably had a stuffed animal of one like that. Like
they have a heart, they're caring, they're loving. So I guess like expanding on that, really, it's caring for the community, it's caring for citizens, it's people who care not only for individuals but care for the greater good, right? Yes. Like it's domestic workers, childcare workers, all levels of teaching, like preschool through university. Mm-hmm. All of that includes like domestic unpaid work that is performed disproportionately by women, like in childcare in the home and cooking and cleaning. All of that work cares for individuals, but also the greater good.
Yes. Yeah. Care work is something that I feel like does really go kind of like underappreciated in our society, right? Like there's always all this conversation around teachers, and I think especially now with the pandemic, it's like, oh, they basically just like babysit kids, like, oh, like these kids aren't like really, it's like, no, teaching is hard. You have to like handle the thoughts and emotions of like 30 children, right? And then also make sure at the same time, and then also make sure they know how to do math at the end of the day, and make sure they're not fighting each other, make sure they know how to be good people, make sure they know what's appropriate, what's not. That's a lot of work. It's
crazy. And watching my kids, do Zoom school through these times, like a teacher, if you are not emotionally cared for, you can't learn. It's impossible.
Exactly. That's another big thing. Yeah. Emotional care is also very important. So like, therapists and stuff fall into this work. But yeah, care work is, so there's definitely like paid care work when we talk about teaching, university professors, healthcare, and social workers. And then there's also the unpaid work that not only do people, disproportionately women, do inside the home, where it's like making sure the home's clean, making sure you feed people, but also care work that we do every day, just for, our friends and families. And like, I guess work, when I say work, I don't want it to make it seem like we're toiling for our friends. But yeah, it does take, it takes
attention. It takes attention. It takes effort. It takes, I mean, I can't believe that we've already talked about this for 10 minutes. I mean, it feels like we just touched on it.
That's very true. Yeah.
Which is why I think why we're so lucky that we've got a panel of esteemed guests who can really flesh out this idea of care work for us today. I'm so excited to have our panelists today.
Awesome. And so the panelists will be joining us. I think they'll be like coming in through, there we go. Hello. Hi, panelists.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. If you wouldn't mind, would you introduce yourselves? You can give your pronouns and what organization you're with. And then once everyone's all introduced, then we can start this conversation that really could go on for 5 or 6 months, but we're going to try to get it done in 20 minutes.
We'll try our best. So, my name is Jennings. I represent the Massachusetts Coalition of Domestic Workers. My pronouns are she, her.
And you could go, Tess.
Okay, hi, I'm Tess Ewing, and I'm on the steering committee of the Mass Coalition for Domestic Workers, and I'm on that steering committee as a representative of one of the founding organizations, which is called the Women's Institute for Leadership Development. And what we do is we do training for women workers, women union members, women in worker centers, and so forth, to help them become leaders and fight for their rights.
And jump right in.
Jenny?
Hola, mi nombre es Jenny. Pertenezco a la Coalición de Mujeres Trabajadoras del Hogar y soy voluntaria de Mass Coach. Y nuestra misión es alcanzar las 67,000 mujeres que no saben de sus derechos. Y ese es nuestro trabajo, luchar por ellas para que ellas conozcan su derecho, porque se ha venido cometiendo muchas injusticias con las trabajadoras del hogar.
Perhaps I should go next, as I am the interpreter, and I will translate what Jenny said first.
It looks like your sound cut out.
Hello?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, now it's back. Yeah.
Oh, I take notes in a separate window, and when I put up that window, all right.
It's all right. Oh, it's out again. Oh, yeah, we can't hear. I'm sorry, Mitch.
You hear me?
No.
Now we could hear you.
Now we can.
Before, yeah.
So, yeah. Hay un problema porque saqué notas en otra ventana y cuando cambio a la ventana, o sea, se me corta con ustedes. So I won't do this, I guess, in the future, but, I was taking notes so that I could capture everything Jenny said.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. I'm going to have to go back.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Listen.
Okay.
That's going to happen. I'm going to go in and out because I have notes. Okay,
cool.
Okay. I also work with Mascosh, Jenny was saying. Our mission is to reach the 67,000 domestic workers in Massachusetts, because a lot of injustices have been committed against us, and we need to fight back. All right. And now me. My name is Mitch. I'm an interpreter, and I was asked by Sophie to interpret for the panelists when necessary. I don't really have any preference for pronouns. I take them all.
Cool. Awesome. We should get a care worker to help out Mitch and take notes so that they don't have to go back.
That is care work.
That is care work. It makes things go smoothly. But thank you so much. And last but not least, Mayra.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Mayra, pertenezco a Massachusetts Coalición Trabajadoras del Hogar. ¿Y cuál es la misión o la visión que tengo para estar en cuanto al proyecto aquí con la coalición? Mi visión es que sea un pago justo para todas las trabajadoras del hogar, para esas 67,000 mujeres que están afuera, y que todas tengan los mismos derechos y que todas sean vistas por igualdad.
My name is Mayra. I work for the Mass Coalition of Domestic Workers. Our mission is to get fair pay and to reach the 67,000 domestic workers who are on the outs in this regard, and so that they can have the same rights as every other worker.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us today. I'm really excited for this panel. So first question is, some of you kind of already answered this, but what brought you to this movement in solidarity with domestic workers, or what made you interested in organizing in this capacity?
So I will start. I'm originally from Chile, and both of my parents were domestic workers. They work since they were maybe 12 years old, and they actually met at some employer's home, and from there they were together for more than 50 years.
Oh, wow.
And I saw the injustice that they suffer, and I saw how hard they worked. And then now that my father has passed since, but then my mom's health is not the best because of the hard work of her life and not a very good retirement. And so then I came here to the United States in '83, and I also was an au pair for a while. And then also it was not the best experience. And so when I started working with the Massachusetts Coalition of Domestic Workers, it was fighting on behalf of what my parents lost, and hopefully what we could recover for the women that are now doing the work.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
So I guess I'll go, because that seems to be the direction we're going. So, I think I'm in the generation of Bethany's parents, because I was first involved back in the 60s and 70s in the civil rights, women's liberation, anti-Vietnam War, that kind of stuff. And then in the 70s, I was involved. I was a school bus driver in Boston for the desegregation busing. And when the company tried to cut back our wages one year, we unionized. And that was a terrific experience, and I learned how important a union is for women. And I became, and that's how I devoted the rest of my life basically to women in unions. And I got a job in education around women in unions, and so working with WILD, the Women's Institute for Leadership Development, which is a volunteer job, but still, it's when the domestic workers started to organize, it was just like natural for us, because domestic workers are most all women. Highly, very many of them are immigrant women, and it was just a natural thing for a while to want to get involved in that. Probably a lot of people know, but probably many people don't know that domestic workers, just like farm workers, were left out of the labor laws that were passed in the 1930s under the New Deal, because the Southern senators said, those people are Black who work in those jobs, and we don't want them to have rights. And so they've been left out all this time. They have not had the protections that other workers have. And so it seems it's just like an obvious thing. We've got to give the support that they need to organize and get the justice, the pay, etc. they deserve.
Thank you so much. And
Yo soy de Honduras. Vengo haciendo el trabajo de limpieza en casa, internada desde que yo tenía 15 años.
Well, okay. I'm from Honduras. I came here doing work in cleaning houses. ¿Qué fue lo que dijo? Siga.
Cuando yo empecé a trabajar a los 15 años en una casa, yo tenía mi patrona, mi jefa, me asignaron una propia mesa donde comer, tenía mis propios platos, mis propios cubiertos y mi propio vaso, y hubo un momento en que yo me sentí discriminada, como que yo tenía lepra.
So when I started working at the age of 15 in a house, I had my own boss. I had my own table to eat at. I had my own plate. I had my own silverware, my own cup, and I was discriminated against. Por razones de raza, dijo.
Me sentí discriminada, como que yo tenía una enfermedad que se contagiara, como que tuviera una lepra.
Una lepra, and I felt discriminated against as though I had leprosy.
Y esa es una de las injusticias, el cual me ha traído a la coalición de mujeres trabajadoras para ayudar a las mujeres a luchar para que conozcan sus derechos y no tengan miedo.
And this is one of the things that has brought me to the coalition, Mass Coalition of Domestic Workers, to reach out to these women so that they may fight back and so that they may not be afraid.
Y me siento muy orgullosa de pertenecer a ese grupo para poder luchar, para seguir peleando, para que nuestras voces sean escuchadas por un salario justo.
And I'm proud to belong to this group that is fighting, that is pushing forward so that we are heard in our fight for fair remuneration.
Sí, porque es un trabajo duro, un trabajo arduo, y nosotros tenemos que sentirnos dignas y honradas de hacer ese trabajo.
Because it's hard, arduous work, and we need to feel that we are valued, that we are honored in our doing of this work.
Si el COVID no me venció a mí, yo seguiré peleando. Gracias a Dios estoy bien, yo estuve con COVID y sobreviví al COVID, soy free COVID y voy a seguir peleando por las mujeres trabajadoras del hogar.
The COVID did not get me. Though I had COVID, it didn't take me with it. I survived, and I will continue fighting for the rights of those women who work in domestic work.
I'm so glad it didn't get you. I'm glad you're
very,
here with us
very
today.
glad.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jenny.
And last but not least, Mayra.
Bueno, yo lo que me hizo llegar a la coalición fue por yo tuve un robo de salario trabajando y siento de que eso pasa muy a menudo con nosotros las trabajadoras del hogar. Yo en este país he trabajado mucho y muy fuerte y lastimosamente...
Okay, a ver. What brought me into the work with the Mass Coalition of Domestic Workers is that I had wage theft case. And that happens, I find that happens often to us in domestic work. Perdón, siga.
Sí, lastimosamente en este país siempre nosotros, por no tener documentos, siempre nos miran como de menos o piensan de que nosotros no podemos luchar sobre nuestros derechos.
In this country, unfortunately, it always happens. Those of us we don't have documents, they look upon us as less and as though we're not worthy of fighting for our rights.
Y ahora que yo sé mis derechos, también se los puedo enseñar a muchas mujeres también, como yo les he hablado y les he dicho de que no importa su estatus migratorio, ellas también tienen derecho a pelearlo, porque lo que es de uno y nadie se lo puede quitar.
And now that I have these rights, I can show them to many other women such that they understand it doesn't matter what your migration status is. You can fight forward for it, and it's your right, and nobody can take from you what is rightfully yours.
Lastimosamente a nosotros como trabajadoras del hogar nos quieren pagar un salario muy bajo y es un trabajo muy digno que nosotros lo hacemos con mucho amor a tantas familias acá en este país.
Unfortunately, we are paid very little in our work, which is and our work it's worthy work, and we do it with love with the families we work with here in this country.
Me da demasiado coraje ver que hacen tantas injusticias con un montón de mujeres que todavía, como les digo, no saben todavía sus derechos y sí los tienen. Más ahora que estamos en pandemia, que tuvimos COVID, porque a mí también me dio el COVID, y también ahora se burlan más porque han sido hasta despedidas, y yo siento que eso es una burla, despedir a una persona porque está enferma.
It makes me angry to see a ton of injustices done to so many women who don't know their rights. They don't know that they do have these rights. And in the pandemic with this COVID, I also got COVID. You know, now it's as though they're mocking you because like they can just throw you away, like it's a mockery of one's dignity.
Y aquí estaré para luchar siempre por todas estas mujeres y juntos de la mano vamos a salir adelante y vamos a lograr todo lo que queremos.
I will be here fighting alongside these women, and together we will come forward and we will get the things that we deserve.
Porque si nos echan, nos regresamos.
Because if they throw us out, we'll be back.
Gracias.
Yeah, glad to hear that. Thank you so much. Thank you for those amazing answers. Why, and each of you, if you could take, maybe a minute or two to explain to our viewers, why is care work so important during moments of crisis, such as the current crisis we are in and have been in, the multiple crises we've been in for the past year?
I think it's very important to see domestic workers as essential workers, which we have been also advocating for. And so they also should get the vaccine because they continue to go to people's homes to take care of children, to take care, to clean houses, to take care of the elderly. And then also, many of them are undocumented, so they are outside of the stimulus package that everybody else is getting. So it's very important to be able to let the world know that they are here, that they are present, and perhaps they have been the ones that have been there for families that needed this care, especially during this isolation. And so I think it's very, very important that people understand how important they are and why we should protect them as well.
Thank you very much.
I'll just say very quickly that we noticed that both Maida and Jenny have had COVID, and they do some of the most dangerous work because people still need care during the pandemic. That doesn't make you less disabled if you're disabled, or less old if you're old, or less young if you're young. You still need those caretakers, and care workers really take their lives into their hands to do that work and are often forgotten about. And very often they come back to live in a situation where there are a number of people who live in close quarters because they don't make a lot of money. So they don't get to live in a big old mansion with 10 rooms that people can self-isolate. No, they have to live in the same rooms as other family members. So they're really getting the brunt of it.
And thank you for sharing that. And Jenny?
Mitch, ¿puede hacer la pregunta en español, por favor?
Sí.
Oh, the question is why for the viewers and for people who don't understand why the work that you do is so important, to talk a little bit about why care work is so important during moments of crises, such as the multiple crises we've gone through this last year.
Para la gente que no entiende por qué es tan importante el cuidado doméstico, ¿verdad? O sea, del hogar, cuidado del hogar, ¿qué les diría a ustedes ¿Qué les dirían ustedes a las personas que no saben por qué en tiempos de crisis es tan importante este trabajo?
Yo les diría que como trabajadores del hogar, como trabajadoras del hogar, nosotros contribuimos mucho a la economía de este país.
I would say that as domestic workers, we contribute a lot to the economy of this country.
Y es importante que nosotros tengamos ese cuidado, que se nos ponga esa atención para nosotros también poder dar la atención a las personas. Porque, porque, por ejemplo, yo todavía no tengo la vacuna. Las clientas con las que yo trabajo, a las cuales yo le limpio las casas, ellas ya están vacunadas. Pero como yo no estoy vacunada, yo no puedo ir a limpiar a esas casas.
Yeah. It's important that we get the kind of care and attention that we give to the people that we give it to in our jobs. For example, I don't have the vaccine. I haven't been vaccinated. Some of the people I'm working with have gotten the vaccine, but I don't have the vaccine, so I can't go and do those jobs.
Entonces, es importante cuidar a las personas con las que nosotros trabajamos y es importante también que nosotros tengamos esa atención.
It's important for us to take care of the people we work with, and it's important that we get that care as well.
Yeah, I agree, Jenny. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
And Myra?
Sí, nosotros somos empleadas del hogar, ¿verdad? Y somos unas personas esenciales a este país. Como dijo Jenny, nosotros también hacemos impuestos y los tenemos que pagar, porque no nos regresan absolutamente nada, sino que nosotros le pagamos al Estado. Entonces, somos unas personas
A ver, we are home employees. We are essential workers, like Jenny said, and we also pay taxes, and we don't get any of that back to us. We just pay it to the state. Siga.
Y somos, como trabajadores del hogar, también en veces somos hasta niñeras de sus hijos, de ellos. En veces tomamos un rol demasiado fuerte, más que los papás que son ellos, porque nosotros desde el momento cuando somos niñeras y llegamos, porque yo lo he sido, uno toma ese niño como que es de uno. Entonces, somos más que una empleada.
And sometimes we're nannies sometimes. This is it's a very weighty role. You know, sometimes we're more involved than the parents in the lives of the kid, because we come in there and, you know, you see a kid and you treat the kid as though it were yours.
Ahora, lo segundo que tenemos que hacer, como dijo Jenny, también pelear por esa vacuna, porque todos nos necesitamos. Porque si no tenemos la vacuna, no vamos a poder entrar a esas casas a trabajar.
Now, a second thing is, as you know, Jenny was saying, we need to fight to get that vaccine, to be vaccinated, because if we don't have that vaccine, we won't be able to go to those houses and do the work that we do.
Por eso también ustedes se tienen que unir más con nosotros para que agarremos más fuerza y tengamos voz y poder en cuanto nos escuchen lo que nosotros necesitamos. Sé que ustedes nos ayudan mucho, ustedes tienen mucha participación con nosotros, pero también queremos que sea todavía más la participación de ustedes con nosotros para poder llegar y a realizar todo lo que necesitan todas las trabajadoras del hogar.
We need you to join in with us more in order to amplify our voice and our power so that they will hear us. You help us a lot, but we need it even more, such that we can then realize, we can then achieve what we need to, so that we're. Que fue la última parte de lo que dijo.
Para que no estemos solas, sino que todos estén juntos con nosotros.
So that we're not alone, and so that everyone is with us.
Y si nos toca ir, si nos toca ir a hacer una campaña, a estar fuera a la casa del Estado, por lo que necesitamos, lo tenemos que hacer.
if we have to go to a campaign, if we've got to be outside of the State House, in order to get this, well, that's what we'll have to do. That's what we'll do.
Absolutely. I mean, that is welcome to America. That's how you get anything, is you go and make a lot of noise in front of the gatekeepers and the lawmakers, right?
Yeah, that basically is it. And Myra, thank you so much for your answer to that question, because that's actually a great segue. So for the people watching at home, what are other ways that they could support the work of the MCDW and act in solidarity with domestic workers like all over the globe?
Mish, ¿me puede decir lo que dijo, por favor?
Sí, ¿cuáles son algunas de las medidas por las que se puede actuar en solidaridad con MACDU? And what was the last part of your question, Kendra?
How could everyone, what else could we do to act in solidarity with all domestic workers?
¿Qué más se puede hacer simplemente para actuar en solidaridad con los trabajadores del hogar?
Like specifically for the audience members, like what can, if you're watching today, what is one thing we can do differently that supports domestic workers, or is an act of solidarity with domestic workers, something that some small or huge action that we can get to change things after we log off of this program?
So there's a couple of things. The first one is that because we are supporting domestic workers during the pandemic, and then many of them are undocumented and are without jobs. And so then we have been providing gift cards. So if you're able to donate, it would be wonderful to visit our website at massdomesticworkers.org. And there is a way in there to be able to donate. The other is that there is a petition that is coming out to ask the governor to make sure that domestic workers are vaccinated and are treated as essential workers. And then if there are campaigns that are coming up, also to continue to support those campaigns and let other people know that domestic workers are essential and that they're also make all the other work possible. And that's why they're important.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And Myra was about to give us an action item too, I think. Could Myra say quickly what she was about to share with us, how we can make a difference?
Usted tenía una sugerencia, ¿verdad? Sobre cómo la gente en la audiencia puede hacer una diferencia.
This had to do with the food distribution that you do.
No, we have like one more comment, and Myra was about to tell us from her perspective what we could all do to support.
I think that was about the food distribution that they do.
Yes, we're asking. She's gonna give us an answer now.
¿Qué se puede explicar sobre la distribución de comida que ustedes hacen?
Sí, yo vivo acá en la ciudad de Boston. Yo todos los sábados a mí me traen de una granja comida. Entonces yo le tengo que entregar. Yo tengo un grupo de mujeres de las trabajadoras del hogar que son de 28 personas.
I live in East Boston. Every Saturday they bring us food from a farm, and we hand it out. Me and 28 women we are in total.
Y yo les entrego la comida todos los sábados, les mando la información, ellas ya saben a dónde yo estoy entregando la comida, ellas llegan, yo les pregunto qué necesitan más o cómo están pasando ellas en su trabajo o cómo les fue durante la semana. Les he ayudado a aplicar sobre el RAP, que es la ayuda de vivienda.
And we come and we give the information out about where the handouts will be. They come and we ask them, what more do you need? How are things going in regards to your work? Will you have enough food for the week? We can help them to fill out raft applications, which is in order to get housing.
Desde que la pandemia empezó, que fue desde el 15 de marzo del 2020, mi trabajo ha sido pues con la comida, con mascarillas, sanite, darles entrenamiento también, cómo ellas tienen que estar en los centros de trabajo. Ha sido un año no duro, pero no ha sido fácil igual. Creo que ha habido demasiado trabajo con las trabajadoras del hogar porque son las que han sido y las que están más abandonadas.
And since the pandemic started around March 15th, 2020, we've been in this work with handing out food, masks, sanitizer. It's been a year that's, not the hardest, but not an easy year. There's been too much work to do in regards to people that don't have what they need.
Y sí, junto con Massachusetts Coalition, también pues ellas han apoyado con las mujeres, también se les ha ayudado de diferentes formas y maneras. La coalición pues no me ha dejado sola, siempre ellos han estado apoyándome en todo y yo les he puesto sobre la mesa los problemas que tienen todas las trabajadoras y he sido escuchada por la coalición.
And MacDo has been good about helping and supporting. They have not left me alone in this work. I've put on the table what the other things are that need be addressed, and they have listened.
Y pues lo único que les digo es que siempre nos sigan apoyando para que estas mujeres no se sientan solas y a seguir trabajando junto con ellas, porque sí lo necesitan demasiado.
And if you, in regards to those who are supporting the women doing this work, just that they know that they're not alone, continue to support them so that they know that they are accompanied in this work.
Awesome.
Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's so important to hear from you, from what we can do. So thank you so much. We'll be providing links to offer support. And then Kendra, we're doing action items now. Quick action items.
There was a question from a viewer saying that, if we donate, does that help with the gift cards? Yes, that is the idea.
Great. Awesome.
Let me just say one thing. I think this show probably has a youngish audience, and you probably don't have a lot of care workers. You probably don't employ a lot, but maybe your parents do. Maybe your parents have people that clean houses, your house, their house, or take care of them. And if you're in a situation like Jenny was talking about, where they can't come into your house because of the pandemic, because either they're not vaccinated or you're not vaccinated, keep paying them. Pay them even though they can't come, because they rely on this money.
Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing up that point. That is very important. So there have been lots of awesome calls to action that were discussed in this panel. A quick summary of them are to visit the Massachusetts Coalition of Domestic Workers. That's www.massdomesticworkers.org. Sign the Fair Care Pledge, and also donate to their organization. You can also contact legislators for the Work and Family Mobility Act, which will allow all folks in Massachusetts to apply for a driver's license regardless of immigration status. There's also lots of other mutual aid funds like Cosecha's Immigrant Community Mutual Aid Fund and Mass Undocu Fund to support undocumented immigrants during COVID-19 crisis. Thank you so much, everyone on this panel. This was so informative. This was really great. I wish we had time to speak for the rest of the time, but we have lots of other programming on this channel. But please, everyone watching, I encourage you to reach out to people that you know to talk more about this, because this is obviously a very, very big, huge situation going on. So thank you all, everyone.
Thank you, everybody, and Jenny and Myra,
we really appreciate it.
For your time and your insight.
Sí, gracias, muchas gracias.
Gracias a ustedes.
Thank you. I love the not least action item, but an action item you can do without logging on or anything is send a payment, whatever you can afford. Send a little bit of payment if it's only $5 or $10 or $50. Still continue to pay the workers that have been helping out your family. That's I mean, it's not easy for everyone, of course, right, Kendra? Like, not everybody has this extra money. Everybody lost their job and everything. But if you have it, skip that Sephora purchase and send that money to somebody who has been keeping your house clean, okay? Taking care of your kids or taking care of your mom or your dad. That's where that money should be going. Yeah,
if you're getting that stimmy March 17th, you could probably get, and if you're not in a situation where you need all of those $1,400, however much you're getting, skim a little bit off the top to give to domestic workers that either work with or and also we also do have a PayPal support. I forgot the official name for it, but it's basically like a large grouping so that the people on the panel will get paid for their time here. So if you want to donate to that, I believe Matt could throw it up in the chat or put it in the comments. So there's lots of ways to support them, but obviously we want to make sure people are able to handle everything that they need to handle through money during the pandemic. So
absolutely. Yeah. And we just the donations that we received today will also use to expand the hours for Myra and Jenny so that they get paid more hours.
Yes, so, which is great. Yeah.
Yes, that's fantastic. I mean, you know where your dollars are going if you choose to donate today. So thank you so much.
Awesome. So now we have a kind of correspondent check-in. So we have our correspondent Sarah Duncan coming to talk to us a little bit more about care work.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi. Oh, you both look fabulous. This is going so great.
I love it. So do you.
Oh, thank you. In my bedroom. Yes, absolutely. Great.
The Twitch lighting in the back so that you're not really sure if it's my bedroom. You're like, it's my bedroom, or it could be a fun game room in her.
Honestly, I love the pink glow behind you, Bethany. It's very cool. Soothing. Yeah.
Thank you. I learned it on Twitch. I was like, why do they all look like they're in Playland? Oh, I can just order a lamplight with a gel. Sarah, tell us what treat lies in store for us now.
Yes, absolutely. So what I'm about to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about this book here that's called Care Work, Dreaming Disability Justice. It was written by, I'll say more. And then I'm going to read a little bit of it.
We're going to leave you.
All right. Bon voyage. All right. So hi, everyone out in the internet. So yes, as I was saying, I am going to read a little bit from this book here. It is called Care Work, Dreaming Disability Justice, and it was written by Leah Lakshmi Piepsna Samarasina. A little bit about me before I do that. My name is Sarah Duncan. I use she, her pronouns. And I am calling these little correspondence brilliant excerpts where I read aloud excerpts, that is hard to say, of brilliant books addressing the themes of the show. So this week, I'm going to be reading an excerpt from an essay in this book that's titled A Modest Proposal for a Fair Trade Emotional Labor Economy. This is a chapter in the recent book, and an earlier version of this essay was published in Bitch magazine in the summer of 2017. For folks who may prefer or need to read along or see it visually, I am going to go ahead and put that link in. I'll put it in the private chat, and then hopefully someone in the private chat can put it in the not so private chat, because I don't know how to do that. And it is not quite the same as the one in the book, so I do apologize for that it won't be word for word, but a lot of it is the same. So, all right. So I do also want to just talk a little bit. Leah Lakshmi Piepsna Samarasina is a queer disabled femme writer, organizer, performance artist, and educator of Burgher Tamil, Sri Lankan, and Irish Roman ascent. And they are the author of many, 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 many books. I will actually also share their bio in the chat just for time. I think it's very long because they have done a lot of incredible things, but I want to make sure we get to the book since we're a little short on time. And I will be reading page 139 to mid 141, and then a little bit of 142 to 143. And I do encourage you to check out the whole book. It is brilliant, and it is about disability justice. And this is a term that was coined by Black, Brown, Queer, and Trans members of the original Disability Justice Collective, which was founded in 2005 by Patty Byrne, Mia Mingus, Leroy Moore, Eli Clare, and Sebastian Margaret. All right, so here we go. I haven't really read on screen for a while. Okay. All right. I love the care and mutual aid we give each other in queer, trans, sick and disabled and working class and queer and trans, Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities. As a sick and disabled, working class, brown femme, I wouldn't be alive without communities of care, and neither would most people I love. Some of my fiercest love is reserved for how femmes and sick and disabled queers show up for each other when every able-bodied person forgets about us. Sick and disabled folks will get up from where we've been projectile vomiting for the past 8 hours to drive a spare Effexor to their friend's house who just ran out. We do this because we love each other and because we often have a sacred trust not to forget about each other. Able-bodied people who think we are weak have no idea. Every day of our disabled lives is like an Ironman triathlon. Disabled, sick, poor, working class, sex working, and Black and brown femmes are some of the toughest and most resilient folks I know. I love how working class femme and disabled this care labor is. I just want it to also not be seen as an automatic expectation of any femme at any time. I want some rules so we don't feel drained, exhausted, or screwed over. I want it to be a choice, and I want its next level genius of skill to be recognized. This care work is skilled labor. So I would like to advance the radical notion that providing care is work. By work, I mean it's just that, work. I mean that the care work we give is essential to building movements that are accessible and sustainable. We are building and maintaining movements when we're texting to make sure someone is okay, talk on the phone for hours, talk shit on the couch, drop off a little care. Those things are not a sideline or an afterthought to our movements. Those things are our movements. And I have seen some of the most femme movements and communities, disabled ones, sex working ones, organized very differently because they are fully centered around feminized, sick survivor care labor. There's been a huge amount of writing about emotional labor in the past few years. Everything from the oft reposted meta-filter thread on gendered emotional labor that is now 50 single-spaced pages long, to essays by queer and trans writers of color like Kai Cheng Tom and Caleb Luna, to Ada Hoffman's wonderful essay about autistic practices of emotional labor, to a million conversations I've seen and taken part in with friends and comrades. In thinking about the roots and histories of unpaid and unrecognized labor by feminine people, I don't know how to capture their enormity. But I think about movements like Black Women for Wages for Housework and others who fought for the audacious demand that people should get paid wages for the labor of homemaking and parenting that the WSCCAP conceives of as naturally being unpaid. I think about movements like the National Domestic Workers Alliance Caring Across Generations campaign, where elders, disabled people, and the personal care workers who support them, many of whom are immigrant, Black, or brown people performing the feminized labor of personal care support work, are organizing together for fair wages and work conditions, and for state health and social service departments to raise pay rates allowed for care support workers. I think about how little people working in pink collar fields that are highly feminized, like cleaning, caretaking, childcare, waitressing, and service work, get paid. I think about my mom, a former waitress, explaining to me when I was 7 years old how waitresses are legally paid far under the minimum wage and are dependent on tips to make any kind of money, These tips that depend on the femme emotional labor of being seen as sexy, nice, and cute, and how you should either be ready to pay 25% minimum as a tip, or you shouldn't go out to eat. And I think about Black, Indigenous, Brown, working class women's and femme bodies being forced to work for free or for pennies, as enslaved people on plantations, in export processing zone factories in Sri Lanka and many other global South countries and beyond. I think about disabled and mad people locked in nursing homes and institutions, working for well under minimum wage in sheltered workshops. And I think about people in prison working for pennies an hour. Finally, I think about the rage and oppression many sex workers face for having the gall to actually charge for sexual emotional labor. It's impossible to think and talk about emotional labor, care work, and gender without talking and thinking about all of these intertwined histories and realities of oppression and resistance. All of this has started me thinking about what the solutions might be. If care labor is, well, labor, and we participate in an emotional economy all the time, what would a just care labor economy look and feel like? What would I want to get paid in money or care labor or appreciation, and how? What would I want the conditions of my labor to be, to feel that my work was in safe, compensated conditions that had my workers' rights at the center? And I will stop there. I highly recommend this book. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing this. That was like a really great excerpt from the book.
Thank you so much.
So you read it so like I was so involved in
good
of your words.
Good. I'm glad.
Is this your side hustle? Are you an Audible book reader?
You know, I am not, but I would like to be. So if anyone has any connections.
Honestly, same. Let's wait. Yes, for both of us. I don't even know how to point.
All three of us.
Actually, all three. Yeah, wait.
Yeah, all three of us.
Do you need our voice? That was fantastic, Sarah.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I love that it brings another angle, another perspective, another angle. It's like we're coming at everybody from everything, from the workers, from the support people, I love it.
Yes, awesome. Thank you both so much.
So much.
Awesome. So that is just about it for the show today. That's everyone that we had lined up.
Should we call out the action items one more time just to make sure people are clicking away?
I think we should because I also definitely could always use reminders. So in addition to me saying them verbally again, our tech person is going to shout out to Matt. We'll put has a Google Doc that they'll put in the chat so that you could just click on that if you're watching on Twitch or Facebook or wherever, and they'll send all of that info to you. But call to action again. Massachusetts Coalition of Domestic Workers is www.massdomesticworkers.org. The Fair Care Pledge, you could sign up for it at fair-care-pledge, or maybe search it on Google and then find it, but you could sign up very easy. You can also donate at their own donation org.
Contact legislators, right?
Yes. Contacting legislators. Yeah.
About the Work and Family Mobility Act, which would allow all folks in Massachusetts to apply for a driver's license and or ID card, regardless of immigration status. That's a really important one too.
Yeah. That is really important. And you could also look up your local legislator online. We have the senators and then local people. I think mine is Sal Di Domingo. I don't know. But anyway, call them all and be yo, sign up for this bill. You can also donate to other mutual aid funds, including COSECHA's Immigrant Community Mutual Aid Fund and Mass Undocu Fund's COVID-19 Mutual Aid Fund.
And just to go back to the contacting your legislators, it isn't that hard. If you go to mass.gov and you type in representative, you can just Google representative with your zip code and it will tell you who your representative and your senator are. And then you can there are so many cut and paste letters, but it really does matter. If enough letters and phone calls come into a legislator's office, they will start looking into the legislation piece. So it really matters. It does. Like I know sometimes I think it doesn't matter, but it really does. It does. I've spoken to legislators when trying to get something moved for, inclusion or special education. And they have said when they see there's a tipping point of requests and calls and emails, then they really do start looking into it. So your email and your voicemail matters.
Yes. And as a millennial who is phone-averse, I understand the hesitation you may have with phones calling. But honestly, we're kind of supposed to be their boss. Like, I know that's not the way it works because of late capitalism and all that. But you could call them and be like, yo, I want you to sign this freaking bill.
Yeah.
Or else I'm not going to vote for you. And honestly, it won't be them. It will be like one of their, pages or whatever they'll pick up. But like, it's fine. Like, bring in that boss, hashtag girl boss energy.
You work for me.
Exactly.
Pass
like,
this bill.
Pass this bill now.
Aaron, who actually takes the message, he wants to be senator in the future too. So he will give that message.
Yeah. This is a good time to use your Karen, like bring out your inner Karen that is in all of us, and try to get some bills passed or some legislation even on people's radar. And also with emails, I heard it's helpful to if there is a campaign where it's like, this is like an example email, it's helpful to like change it a little bit so it doesn't fall into any like filters. So sometimes I like to be like, hey, like this bill is like silly. And then in the actual email post, just kidding, by the way, just have fun with it.
Or hello, Representative Hunt. This is your mother. Why haven't you called me back? And then I'm sorry, it's not really your mom. I'm just Lulu's mom. Could you please pass this damn bill?
Please pass this damn bill. You can even just say that. Like that technically counts.
Please pass this damn bill.
So thank you so much, everyone, for showing up here today and watching our first episode. I think it went really well. How do you think it went, Bethany?
I think it was fun. I mean, what do you think, people out there?
Sound off in the comments.
Sound off. Is that what it means? I don't know. That's where I right away go to. So come back. We're gonna do this monthly, and I think I'm 98.9% sure next month's topic is, what is activism?
What is it?
What is it? Is this not? It doesn't just mean going with a bullhorn down to your latest protest. Activism is a way of life. You live it, you breathe it. Even if you've never gone to a protest and you don't intend to, you can still be an activist. So that's what we're gonna do next month. Is we're gonna talk about what
second Sunday of the month. So join us here, and we'll have some new panelists, some new kind of like people dropping in. It will be a really fun time.
Yay. Thank you so much for everybody who commented, all the panelists, Miriam Hernandez Jennings and Tess Ewing from Mass Coalition of Domestic Workers, and Jenny and Myra, who are members and also domestic workers. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kendra.
Thank you. Thank you, Bethany. And thank you for watching, everyone out there.
Thanks for watching.
And we will see you next month, next second Sunday of the month, same bat time, same bat place, bat channel.
Peace.
Bye.